all you guys. Appreciate the support in here. Hit that like button on the show. We got a good crowd in here for a May 8th Thursday edition. And now we are joined by Chris Franklin from NJ.com. You can go and follow him at C Franklin News. He joins us right now. Make sure you read all his work over there at NJ.com. Chris, how you doing on this Thursday edition, brother?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys, and congratulations on the memberships and everything else. See you guys doing well. It's good to talk to you guys.
Thank you,
Yeah,
man.
good to see you, Chris. You probably heard my little rant there about labeling.
Yeah.
I think it was funny after the draft, after day one of the draft, and the Eagles took Jihad Campbell. Howie Roseman specifically said, I don't want to put this player, Jihad Campbell, in a box. Didn't want to pigeonhole him. Can do a lot of different things. They're clearly projecting some versatility down the road. And the first thing everyone tries to do is label him. Why? I mean, why? Why? What is the obsession with? Is he? It's not like he's both, or at least that's the projection. That's the hope.
It's one of those things where you just want the instant gratification because you just know, okay, I want to know what to expect. It's like because we have the unknown. I'm pretty sure all the offensive coordinators out there want to know how you want to use them. So it's one of those things where they just want to see, okay, where are you going to line up? Where are you going to use it? You can't you can't really put a. It's almost like you have offensive weapon on offense. You have a defensive weapon the way you're going to use on him because with Vic Fangio having him and if Campbell plays up to the level he's capable of doing, I like this pick a lot, a real lot. You could just if you put it, I doubt we'll see it a lot like this, but if you put say Campbell next to Jalen Carter's at the one defensive tackle spot, then you have Campbell to his left, and then you have Zach Bond to his left. Now all of a sudden you're like, okay, we can slide the line this way. Well, which one's dropping back? Which one's there? Or the other two doing a stunt? And so you got all these
we might get some
Mike
Zimmer sugar in the A gaps.
Yeah. It's so much you can do with this. So the labels right now, they don't matter. It's a matter. It may change week to week depending on the opponent. So I know everybody wants to see the gift. Like I want to play the toy. I want to play the toy. I want to play the toy. Can't do it right now.
You like the player, Chris? It sounds like. What do you think of those injuries, man? Any concern on those? 2 knees, 2 shoulders? I mean, holy moly, man.
I think so. I talked to somebody a little bit after the draft, and when hearing that, it wasn't to the level of okay, it's bad. Yeah, they were concerning injuries, but it wasn't to the level of okay, he's going to be a one contract and done guy, like some other guys we've seen in the past, like maybe somebody currently on this roster right now who we will replace. So I look at that. I think it's enough to get by with that. It's the reason why he slipped, but it's not the reason why people don't think he can have a long career in this league.
Yeah, I think a lot of it too is the immediacy aspect. The Eagles can afford to be patient, whereas some other teams cannot. And he had the March labrum surgery, which is not going to be a long term, like you pointed out. Maybe some of the other shoulder and knee issues are more of the concern long term, but short term, all right, 6 months, he'll be back. But he had it in March. If you do the math, that's September. He's probably not going to be ready for week 1. He's not going to have an off season. A lot of teams are scared off by that, especially teams that have GMs who need to have impactful seasons to keep their jobs.
Yeah, it's all like you mentioned, like a lot of these teams that were higher up that are in that no man's land of possibly looking to be on the unemployment line, updating their resumes. Yeah. You can't take a pick where you say, oh yeah, he's not going to be around for a little bit. And then you already start your season off with, okay, we wait. And there's those question marks on that. I think when you're in the back half of the draft, like the Eagles, like the Commanders, when teams like that, the Chiefs, you look at those, you can take risks a little bit, and you're allowed to wait because you got some time you bought. So yeah, it's a little bit, it's quite like if you don't get that immediacy of having him on the field for that one. This is where the part of draft background that these guys have done. Do you think the player that can learn the system? Do you think he's one of those guys that can stay in tune with learning a new install, learning this one, getting those mental reps, or is he somebody who just starts to look away and go, ooh, bird, ooh, squirrel, well, something like that for it. Okay, something like that. And this is where you look at the guy like they did his background, his learning style, and the way that he can retain information, everything, pick it up quickly. yeah, that's part of the whole process. So I think that's what went into it as well.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Chris. Chris, what are your overall thoughts, brother, on the draft? Sounds like you like the top pick, obviously, a lot, but they've got big haul of players, man, 10 players, a bunch of undrafted guys. What do you think of how the Eagles did in the NFL draft this year?
I was surprised they took that many players. I thought they would try
Yeah, me
to
too.
move up a little bit, maybe trade a bunch of, or maybe trade more, like a couple of fifth rounders or whatever, to move up, say in the first or whatever, move up even more. And from what we saw from that video, it sounded like people were like, nope, not getting fleeced by you, man, not getting fleeced by that one. Or maybe try to trade a little bit, a couple of those picks. I know they have like a projected 12 or 13 next year. Maybe try to trade a couple of those picks this year to try to move up or get more assets for next year, so they can really try to get some either try to trade for a veteran or try to move up a little bit more, or just have those assets ready in case stuff doesn't work this year. So I was shocked to do that, but overall, I like a lot of the line moves in terms of that. I like Varg. I think the way that his range, I know a lot of people are saying he's an immediate CJ Gardner replacement. He's
Yeah.
good. He's going to be okay. But safety in this system is one of the toughest positions to learn, because you have to either walk down, you have to know, okay, the cover's a third or six, will have. There's a lot that entails in Vic's system in terms of that. So the only worry I have is people are going to think automatically, oh, he's going to be on the field, so he's CJ Gardner Johnson. He's going to be great next. He's going to make mistakes. He's a rookie. He's going to need to build
Yeah.
into that.
I
Need to
brought
worry
that
about
up yesterday, Chris. I was like, I saw somebody and I didn't want to pick on him, but there's going to be a seamless transition from
Yeah.
DJ Gardner Johnson to Andrew Makuba. I'm like, no, there is not. Part of it is, and we just talked about Jihad. The first round pick is not going to be most likely in the mix to be an immediate contributor because of the shoulder surgery. So I think so many people are focused. Well, that Makuba's got to get on the field. Makuba's got to get on the field. Well, there's going to be some hiccups, as Jim Schwartz would say. There's going to be some startup costs there if that's the case. I'm a little concerned about that, because there are high expectations for this player who's, at the end of the day, 64th pick in the draft. And I think there are some other safeties there that, in the groupthink world of the NFL draft, Kevin Winston Jr., Xavier Watts, might have been more prepared to play early in most schemes, but maybe not this scheme.
Yeah, see, I looked at some of those guys. Just I forget the Penn State guy, or I apologize, David Warren. But I forgot. I looked at him and I was like, now I like Varg a little bit more. I liked him a lot, because I think when you look at the long range projection of what he can do, it takes a lot of time. No, it doesn't matter who you're going to take. Whoever's going to be here is going to take a long time. But I think he has a higher ceiling and can use a little bit more, so you're allowed to take that risk. The only pick that I was shocked, the only player I thought would be a better Eagle who didn't wind up on this roster I was taken, was Darius Alexander.
Yeah, I
And
like,
yeah, and
I like,
I really, really, really thought he'd be a good fit in here, just for the fact that I know it's like you're drafting a need at that point, and I know they addressed it later on, but yeah, I think people think of reaching, like, okay, you need a defensive tackle, you need to get here, but
Right.
I just look
I
at
think
the
the
fact that
Giants
you got,
got him, right? Did the Giants?
yeah,
yeah,
the
get him?
Giants,
next very next pick.
boy, the Giants, because you do some Giant stuff as well for NJ.com, but the Giants, man, they got a good defensive front. They got a lot of issues, but they got a good defensive front.
Yeah, and they're going to need to win games 6-3. So they don't have a shot the way they do that.
Probably.
But yeah, they
Now
did
they'll
that.
score 10. We were talking about Malik Neighbors. He's a good player. Yeah,
Yeah,
he'll make some big plays, but yeah, they still have some serious offensive issues. Um, but yeah, I mean the day 3 picks I loved for the most part. I thought there was a lot of good dart throws on day 3, like the upside of Ty Robinson. Um, I like the upside of Smile Munden. The offensive lineman to get 3 guys like that with Jeff Stoutland. At least one of them's going to hit. I think you got a long-term backup in Kyle McCord. Maybe you can spin them off when you need to spin them off down the road. And even the last pick, Antoine Powell-Ryland, productive college pass rusher. And they need some help on the edge. I wouldn't be surprised if he made the team, and, both of these free agent Tamu off signings hit the street.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't expecting that. Sorry.
John's been calling him Timu all off season.
Yeah.
I'm used to it at this point.
You. Oh God.
The
No,
Timu
no,
off
no,
season.
no.
Yeah, I've dubbed it the Timu off season. The free
Well, you're
agent.
gonna pay more because you're gonna have tariffs slapped on it. Sorry, never mind.
Yeah.
Didn't mean-
Now I can't call it. Yeah, the tariffs have screwed up my. Thanks, Trump. The tariffs have screwed up my.
Sorry.
Timu plus tariffs is a luxury purchase now at this point.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that. Sorry. Ooh, continue. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, but I think the one person that I think we haven't is being overlooked at or somewhat dismissed, Mac Williams. I look at him. I like his game.
Yeah, he's the one I don't know about. I was going to bring him up. I don't know what to think of Mac Williams. He can play. He played outside in college. I think most people project him inside. A lot of people thought they were going to take Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if that's the case, but I will say this, Chris, if you saw the unscripted Eagles draft room, the one poor edit was when they picked Mac McWilliams. They were like, oh, we're going to take Mac McWilliams. It was real quick and real jumpy. Clearly, they were going to take somebody else. And then they won to Mac McWilliams. On the other hand, they showed part of their passion meeting, what they called their day 3 passion meeting. And there were really guys in there advocating for Small Munden, advocating for Drew Kendall, advocating for Kyle McCord, advocating for Miles Hinton, but not Mac McWilliams. I think he was the one pick where it was, all right, we didn't get the guy we wanted. We got to shift real quickly. My two conspiracy theorists.
No, I think because the fact that it was leaked a little bit right before day 3, if he still, especially around that 5th round, and everybody was really talking about Shedeur Sanders to the Eagles and that one, and miraculously, the team whose general manager has a really good relationship with Howie Roseman miraculously jumps ahead of him just before it, and to take him and select him. And you look at and you read tea leaves, you look a little bit more, and all of a sudden the Eagles do get Kyle McCord later on. I'm putting 2 to 2 together. Yeah, I think it's a safe assumption to say that he was on their board, even as much as to say they don't talk about other players, what have you. And it's funny because you look at the fact that during draft night, I know Martin asked everybody, he said, "Oh, you can't do it, can't talk about this, all that." But when Rich Eisen show, you hear how I talk about it, it's like, well, and he was dodging the question a little bit. Like usually, flat out, you have a little bit stronger answer. I think Shedeur Sanders was really on the board. I think they were going to run it into that trade. But when it comes to McWilliams, a lot of everybody thinks of big fan. You think of the high shell zones and then the guy for me. He really does play man. That I like this body positioning on him. I like it's almost like seeing Keely Ringo in a sense, where he can be physical on that outside. And I look at the tools that he has. I look at what he did at support. I liked a little bit. So I'm not going to say like, oh, I was watching Central Florida all the time ever since they left the AAC. I was like, yeah. But when you look at it, but you see enough when you're doing it in the draft process, you see a little more. Yeah, I like what he can do. I like his aggressiveness on the outside. He can get receivers, and he's refined it a lot more than what I saw some of his statements in his career. So I think it's a decent pick, but I think that they were going to go quarterback a little bit higher than they were going to with McCord. And that's not McCord. I mean, to get a guy as productive as he was,
I like that pick. I like Colin McCord at 181. That to me, you spin off Tanner McKee. Maybe he plays well in the preseason. Maybe you get, who knows? If Jalen Hurts sprains his ankle, he's got to play 2 games. Maybe AJ Belium. Maybe you get a 2nd-round pick if he plays well.
Yeah.
And then you have Tom McCord to be the backup and then you just do it again and spin him off down the road.
I think Dorian Thompson Robinson was like, I can't wait. I got to do this. This is great. I got to interview this. I felt the best situation. Their Eagles are on the clock. They have drafted Kyle McCord.
Yeah, not a good day. Not a good day for DTR, no doubt about it. But you know what? They'll probably get him back on the practice squad. They'll probably get all 4. I would think. because nobody's going to give him a 53-man roster spot. So they'll be able to get him back.
Well, the
I
Browns
think.
are collecting quarterbacks, so you never know. They could do that. It's just
Yeah.
some weird Princeton quarterback where Princeton had 3 quarterbacks. But who knows? Maybe the Browns are trying to install that.
Just speaking of collecting, you're right. The Browns have collected quarterbacks. The Eagles were collecting mediocre tight ends, thinking they had to cobble something together. And all of a sudden, here comes Dallas Goedert for one last ride. They sweated, not swatted. They sweated Dallas Goedert, and he's back. Boy, I always thought this had to be once the draft passed and once the Eagles didn't take a tight end. This had to be the result. And they got him back, and they got him back at $4 million less. Great move for the Eagles. And maybe one of their first moves that is just about 2025 and trying to repeat. Because this is a really good player, Chris. And if they didn't have him, they were going to roll out Grant Calcaterra and Kylan Granson and Harrison Bryant. And that's just not good enough. And now they have one of the best tight ends in football for one more year.
And I didn't think he was going to leave. I didn't, because just looking at the whole entire thing, you look at if you trade him for like his best value was going to be during the draft, before the draft, if you were going to trade him because you with the assets in that one. Well, you would have lost like $8-9 million against the cap against if you traded him. So you would have to wait June 1st. But then after that, you're so deep into the teams don't have the money really to take on that type of a player that caliber and that one without taking them even more significant cuts. They wouldn't be able to do that. And then how many times have we heard almost as a stock answer so much? Well, the offense runs through A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. We've heard that stock answer. And then you just look at the way, are the concerned about him staying on the field valid? Yeah. We've seen it year after year after year now. When you do get that player, it's important. And also, when you look at, if you don't have Dallas Goedert on the field, they also, the fact you got Jahad Dotson, you needed it. You got to see that. You got to hope he takes another leap. You know, that guy, whoever, one of those three, like, he's not going to get that. But you think the way that he operates, or if you move Devontae in the slot, you got somebody still operate in the middle of the field and take attention from those defensive backs. So it's one of those things where you just look at it. If you took him off the field, then all of a sudden you get like, well, maybe we could slide a safety or whatever, Devontae. You make those players less effective. So, yeah, are they going to address it and later on? Do I can see him potentially maybe signing after this rework deal, maybe a year or two? Yeah, it's possible. I think next year is more of the way where you look at potentially drafting the player, or do you see a guy like, I don't know, Andrew trade a pick for somebody else who's about to go out, come a free agent or whatever, have him be your long-term option. You do that because you got so many picks to do that, so you have the option there. But for this year, having him, I just didn't see him leaving, and because it's just too much against the weighing against it. Was it close? Yeah, I started to think like, yeah, maybe I'm wrong on this one. Stomach's not feeling right on this one, but I just didn't see it happen.
What are your expectations for the offense this year, Chris? They're bringing back 10 out of 11 starters. The only change is going to be at right guard and a couple backup roles, obviously, with running back and on the offensive line. But you think it looks the same as last year, a little different, more passing? What are your expectations for the offense this season?
I think a lot of the base stuff will be the same, but I think there will be more focus on passing now. And I will say this, I think it starts off slow again because you have another coordinator. Even though Kevin Patullo's been there for a while, even though he's been there through all these changes in offensive coordinators, it's still a different flow. I know you got training camp and OTAs to get used to it. It's just a different flow. So I wouldn't be surprised with a tough schedule with a lot of prime time games. Like I could see it being like 3 or 4 first for games because they're Super Bowl champs. Being in prime time, we know that Thursday night games on prime time. So yeah, I can see it starting off slow a little bit, and this is where you rely on defense. But then the offense is going to pick up the defense the 3 times when they struggle. So it'll be slow, but I still think it'll be a top 5 unit when all said and done. And we're looking at the year. I think it's going to be one. I think you put the ball a bit more downfield, especially some of those deep balls, because it seems like Hurts is going to have a little more say now. He has that cachet now. I'm Super Bowl MVP. He knows Kevin Patullo a lot. Maybe you see a little bit more based off the play action. Maybe you see take more shots that way. But yeah, I think it's going to be the biggest thing is the adjustment of how Patullo is able to call the game at this level and also just trying to get a feel for everything else and get into his flow because it's an art. It really is tough. It's art. You can have you can have an Andy size read, Waffle House looking play sheet and what have you. But when you're in the bullets are flying, it's going for real, and you have your situations lined up on that sheet, and you're trying to go back and forth looking this way. Some things need to flow a little more. Like you run a play, try run it later. So that's why I want to see how he gets going. So I think it might be slow start, but I think they when it's said and done, they're going to be a top 5 unit.
Yeah, well, they should be. They've been 8-8,
better.
and they should have been a top. Not that it matters, but I think you're right, Chris. I talk about it all the time. Look, everybody, this offense has been the same really through Nick Sirianni for the most part. Shane Steichen, Brian Johnson, Kellen Moore. It is because they're trying to take advantage of the quarterback and do what he does best. So it's been very similar. But I think of the 4, Shane is the one with the best feel in the moment, and things look the best when Shane was doing it for that reason. So you do have to see the feel, and taking that to the defensive side of the ball. Nobody's a better feel than Vic Fangio when it comes to pulling the right card at the right moment. I don't think anybody in Philadelphia, I'm gonna say that, is a bigger Vic Fangio guy than me, except the Philadelphia Eagles, because man, they expect a lot of Vic Fangio. Number 1 defense: Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay, Isaiah Rodgers, Oren Burks, Brandon Graham. Vic, go do it again with a bunch of Temu guys. Are they asking too much of Vic Fangio?
No, T-Moose things didn't. Sorry, no, they're not because you look at just look at his history. Like his history has put him in that position because San Fran, Chicago, here, and you don't do that. Like the guy knows what he's doing. He's got that pedigree, and he has ways to get across to these guys to learn how to do it. And he's got the right assistants there that believe in him and learns to teach, know what he expects, and gets them there. You have enough pieces on this thing. You have guys who have played a lot of football, not just regular season, but postseason in college. Right, so they're used to playing a little longer. And maybe some guys in those smaller schools where you're like, oh well, we're out. We know we're going through thing. We're out. Okay, let's play in Boise in the Idaho Potato Bowl. And we're out. Well, no, these guys stay around for a long while. They know what they're doing. They're better at that. You look at the stuff. It's a really complex defense, really complex system. But he teaches in a way they pick it up. So quarterbacks don't know what the heck they're looking at sometimes before, like after snap or just before pre-snap. They think one thing, like, oh crap. So then you got all this stuff here. Vic knows what he's doing. The players, the most important thing, and we heard it all the time before he came here with the Dolphins, with the Dolphins players, and imagine now looking at that now, Vic's defense and the Dolphins players are just going, well, he was too hard on us. He didn't like it. He didn't do this. Now, younger players, you think there's a larger generational gap. Guys like, I mean, honestly, some guys are like, who's Vic Fangio? Because just for that one.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah,
you're
you're
looking at
right.
them,
Younger
they
guys
thought it.
sometimes they just do what they're told, whereas
Yeah.
the Jalen Ramseys of the world are like, man, I don't want to pay playoff coverage. I want to play press. I'm going to the Hall of Fame. I want to press. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're 100% right with that.
And I think maybe that's one reason they keep going up. Well, the salary cap dictates they have to go young on that side. And who knows? Maybe we see that when you get a lot of these older guys get older because they're a very young defense. They get older, like, whoa, I want to try this and this. Maybe we see it later on. Who knows? But at least right now, they've bought in wholeheartedly and they sent some messages to guys who haven't performed who are sitting on the bench. So he's garnered that respect. He's learned to adapt to them. He's done everything right that you feel like, okay, you know what, Vic, do your own thing. He's like when you have an offensive minded coach, you need a defensive coordinator that is just running like a head coach on that side of the ball. Vic's done it. Vic's been a head coach on the side of that, or overall of a team anyway. But you know that he knows defense. He's allowed to do his own thing. He's earned the right. If you don't really see assistant coaches go in the Hall of Fame like that, you don't. But there's a case where you look at his impact on the game. You look at his
Oh,
coaching tree.
I agree. They're started to put assistants in. He's going to be in because I think there's that disconnect. I talked about it before the Super Bowl, and Xander could tell you. I said, no, Vic's the best defensive coordinator in this game. And everybody looked at me like I'm nuts because Spagnuolo's got all the rings
He's
and
one
Vic
too.
doesn't. And I'm like, hey, in the industry, Vic's the guy everybody copies. Vic is the guy. Vic is the guy. I compared it to the NBA back in the day with Larry Brown and Phil Jackson had all the rings. But if you talk to people in the NBA, Larry Brown was the best basketball guy. He was the best teacher. He was the best coach, just getting people better. That's sort of the comparison I made with Vic Fangio. It's the guy everybody copied, the whole generation.
And to build off of that, when you look at it, everybody's trying to copy it. It's none that's been so successful as the original at all.
No.
So you see all that we've seen it here with Sean Desai. Look at Brandon Staley. He was good when he was with the Rams. I think he had some help offensively. His offense helped cover him a few times, so he got him that cachet because you were McVay. Oh, you're the Brandon Staley. You were part of McVay. Oh, hey, how you doing? Yeah, some of the spin-offs with McVay, but yeah, you look at Vic. The fact everybody tries to copy him and nobody can duplicate it. Yeah, it's something he has just that enough of it. And not take away from Spagnuolo because I think he's more
Oh, he's
enough
great, but
to go to the Hall of Fame too. But
yeah,
Vic's done the same thing too.
Sean
Chris.
Desai gave it a good run to copy.
Better than who replaced him. Better than him.
He's in
That's
LA
true.
still, right? He's in
That's
the in LA.
He's
still?
he's with the Rams. I don't know if he's I think he had a 1-year deal. I don't know if they brought him back. I have to look that up, but he did land with the Rams last season. He's now Cincinnati senior defensive assistant.
Okay, he went to
Oh, he's
Cincinnati.
still kicking.
Chris, I want to ask you about the Cowboys, man. They picked up George Pickens yesterday. Now, I don't know what you think of that move, but how good or bad will the Cowboys be this year? What's your expectation on that team in the NFC East?
When you look at it, I don't know what they're doing. I don't. I like George Pickens the player. I really do. And I think he can have decent numbers. He definitely alleviates a lot of stress off of CD Lamb. It really does. Dak Prescott has another weapon to run through too. But this is the type of move you make when you think, okay, we're a divisional round team. Okay, we need to get to the Super Bowl. Cowboys are not a divisional round team. They're not. They're at this point. I still think they're flirting with wild card. Not even that. Basically, Pickens makes them flirt with the wild card because there's no way they're better than the Commanders now. Definitely not better than the Eagles. And you look around the landscape of everybody else, the South got better, NFC South got better. But the Cowboys should have gotten one they should have drafted one in the first round because you don't draft a guard that high. But that's the whole thing. You don't draft a guard that high.
I agree with that, Chris, but I think he's going to be a good player. I agree with you. I can't draft him that high, but I think Booker's going to be a good player. So, they said the same thing. I don't want to compare him to Zach Martin, but people are, they wanted Jerry wanted Johnny Manziel the Zach Martin year until he got talked out of it. And now you got an offensive lineman who's going to the Hall of Fame, but I'm not saying Booker's that, but I think he's going to be a good player. But yeah, they took him too early.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be good. I look at a team like when you look at it, you could find guards that are athletic that can move out in space, what have you. And I'm not going to use the Eagles because I know Stoutland's just a unicorn in terms of that. But you could find a lot of good offensive line coaches can find guys in those third, fourth, fifth rounders because, and not discounted because we've seen Landon Dickerson and Mekhi Beck, what have you, do well on the inside. Tackles are much more important. So if they took him as a tackle or whatever, or just use a tackle at that spot, I get it because you just need to keep the protect that quarterback, what have you.
Yeah.
But to use that value for there, and then now you're chasing, and then I thought the great Jonathan Mingo trade they used. They tried to go. They traded
Jonathan Mingo, yeah, Brandon
Get that.
Cooks, yeah, they haven't done well trading for wide receivers, but to your larger point where you started, and I think this is relevant. The Cowboys are going to be better than they were last year. The Giants are going to be better than they were last year. The NFC East is getting a little bit tougher, Chris. A little bit tougher. Washington's going to be a good team. And we all know this division. What is it now? 21 years, whatever it is. No repeat champions. If you look at the 3 games because the Eagles came in first place, the two conference opponents, the LA Rams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the interconference, Buffalo Bills, all first place teams. The schedule's more difficult. Everybody's getting a little bit better. Are we having another NFC's champion? It's very early, but soon we'll be playing that's a win, that's a loss when the schedule comes out. Are the Eagles capable of ending that streak? It is significant. 2+ decades. Nobody has repeated in the NFC East.
Yeah, I think they're capable, but I also think there's going to be a tie. It's going to come down to a tiebreaker. Right now, this is my gut. I think it's going to come down to a head-to-head tiebreaker with the Commanders. And I can see them finishing with the same division record. So I forget what was. I just got in my gut. I'm like, either they're going to get it by the skin of their teeth, or they're going to be on a wild card team. That's why I'm going back and forth on that, because I think the Commanders are just a really good team as well too. I've seen the moves they made. Not so much anybody's like, oh, they're the best team. They won the draft. Not because they won the draft. Just overall, the main thing is just Jaden Daniels is getting better. He's got another year of experience.
I just got in trouble earlier in the show by saying a certain someone is the best quarterback in the division.
Yeah, I don't think he's the best division. I don't think he's the best quarterback in the division, but I think he's going to be. I can see a case for it being made maybe in a couple of years if he does take the Commanders to Super Bowl win one.
Oh, in a couple of years, it's not even going to be close.
If he wins, I think if he wins one, or I think if he wins one, and that much, I still think Jalen Hurts is the best one in there. But I have him as a top 5 quarterback. I think Daniels is going to be solidify himself as a top 6, maybe a top 5 this year. I'm that high and bullish on him. I thought he was really good coming out of college last year. I didn't more than Caleb Williams. I didn't know.
I had him number 1. I'm spiking the football.
Yeah, it's fun to see that too. It's like, that's not just Caleb Williams will be a good quarterback. I just said Jaden Daniels has had that extra layer.
Well, Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson's he doesn't know how to play the position. Jaden Daniels knows how to play the position. Ben Johnson's got a lot of work to do.
He never trusted USC quarterback.
Caleb Williams, he's got a ton of talent, though. Ton of talent. He made this one throw on the sidelines. There's like 2 people in the world that can make the throw. But, you got to learn how to play the position.
Where'd he go to college, though? He's got the curse on him, man.
Oh, you can say he also went to Oklahoma, so you could say that.
But I'm trying to claim originally. Okay, I got this one here, too. Like, no.
So somebody asked Joe Burrow if he considers himself Ohio State quarterback. It was a pretty good answer. He said, well, I practiced football at Ohio State, but I didn't play football there. It's a pretty good answer.
Good answer there. Chris, thank you, man. Got a lot of great answers from you today. We appreciate you doing it. As always, make sure you guys follow him at C. Franklin News and read his work at NJ.com. Chris, thank you, brother. We'll talk to you again soon. All right, man?
Sounds great. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, buddy. Good seeing you.
There's Chris Franklin. Great job by Chris Franklin. Always good to get Chris Franklin here on the show. Johnny Mac hasn't even talked to Chris in a little bit, but good to get him up. Good responses from him. We got a couple minutes left here on the show before we wrap this sucker up. And we got one super chat I got to get to, and one at